friends, here it is. The Monday morning live stream here at the Thrive Like a Viking headquarters, Northern Indiana, Zone 5/6, although that doesn't really matter for the Thrive Tribe. Okay, so let me do the sound check. It's snowing today. What did I say? What did I say, guys? So, guys, we got an awesome episode today because it is essentially the climax of the book, in my opinion. So if it was that kind of book that had a climax, this would be it. Chapter 6 is amazing, and it contains the essence of all spiritual teachings. It really does. And so I very much so look forward to going through it with you guys. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, now I am confident that the sound check has taken place. Let me just get everything situated. And yes, let's see. Oh, you guys are having good chat. Nice. Let's see. Teresa says, on the days I felt like wavering on the cleanse, I rewatch videos from Nate's playlist. Oh, thank you, my friend. Yes, that is definitely... Okay, so John Saldana is saying, hard to keep the grumpiness in check. That's all part of it, my friend, definitely. We have to understand, we use the cleanse to see how much, it just shows you so many things, guys. It shows you, one, how much you eat out of just out of just habit. Because even though that you know that you can't eat, right now, you'll just go through and you'll just open the fridge or you'll just pull out the snack drawer or something. Oh, wait, just out of habituation and out of boredom. That's one of the realizations. There's so many layers upon layers of things that it shows you. And how much you use food to cope with your emotions. Yes? Especially if you're seriously overweight, then that is definitely happening. You're using food to cope with your emotions, to avoid experiencing the emotion. So we're going to get a little warmed up here. Then we're going to do a meditation that's going to get us into the body. And then we are going to get into the best chapter of the book. Just phenomenal. I don't care how long this one takes. I don't care if we're here. I don't care how long we're here. It's got to be said. So John Saldana says, I am so unhappy. Well, I feel so unhappy. I don't know why. Right, which you're typically not. So you're on the cleanse, is what he's saying. Okay, yes. I'm sure that you're talking about being on the cleanse, because otherwise you seem quite happy. But these are great things that the cleanse can show us. So we just utilize that and we say, okay, I'm not happy at the moment. I'm not experiencing happiness, but can I be okay with that? Can I be okay? Can I just surrender to it and not just do away with the idea that I shouldn't be feeling that, and instead just embrace it and just feel it and watch it and observe it as though it's any other motion, any other flow of energy. You just observe the same thing you do with the happiness. You just embrace it as well and you observe. Because it comes and it goes. It comes and it goes, like all things do. All things and all experiences, all mental, emotional states, they come and go. They come and go. If you don't like the one you're experiencing now, just watch it as it floats out of your life. But yeah, guys, let's give John some good feedback, because I know I got a lot of you cleansers there. Ms. T, for example, says, John, hang in there, John. The Herxheimer effect makes you feel bad. How have I not heard of that? What is that? But once all the yuckies have passed and continue to leave the body, you will start to feel like new. Not easy, but rewarding. Absolutely. And that can also be a sign that you have trapped emotions. A lot of people eat when they are in a negative emotional state, like what I talked about before, to escape the emotion, to anesthetize them from what they're feeling. Energetically speaking, and we are energy beings, we are electromagnetic energy beings. The entire experience is energy. And so the energy field, the state that we are in at the time that we're consuming these toxic things so that we can feel better or so that we can just not feel what we're feeling, gets trapped in the body. So when we cleanse and these toxins are coming out, the emotional state that you experienced while toxifying your body can definitely come out. I see this all the time. I've done with thousands of people now over all these years. So I know. I know. Okay? So let's see here. Let's see. John Saldana says, enough of that. I am glad I am here with you all. Yeah, definitely. Hey, we can talk about all these emotions. John says, I wish there was a group we could talk about these emotions. Definitely. The thing is here, though, about this channel is that we can hear it. Definitely. You talk about what you're experiencing, but you're not going to get fuel for the fire of the storyline. The storyline is going to lose its energy when it falls into the light of presence, which is what we cultivate here. And so the pain body, okay, because we're going to get into the book in just a moment, but I want to address all this stuff. The pain body is always looking for confirmation. It's looking for someone that can, hey, let's get into a group and talk about how bad we feel all the time, and how we're justified to feel bad, and maybe how we're kind of victim situation, or how I've got hormonal imbalances, all these reasons I can't be happy. That's actually what the ego wants. And so here we talk about anything because it is what it is, but we don't give it any more energy than it needs. We just let it dissolve, evaporate in the light of consciousness, in the vast spaciousness of awareness. So, okay, guys, let us begin the meditation, and then we are going to discuss this book. So, let us get into a comfortable position with the spine straight. Okay, my friends, let us drop into the meditative state of mind. And to do this, we will take 3 deep conscious breaths all together from all different parts of the world. We're going to do it all at the same time. Breathing in. Hold. Let it go. Again, breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. Last one, fill the lungs as deeply as you can. Hold. Hold. And let it go. Now, allow the body to breathe in whatever way it wants to breathe. Relax into the body. Keep the spine straight, but relaxed at the same time. Allow the body to settle into place. And then consciously relax the face muscles. Many of you have a tense face and jaw without even realizing it. Oftentimes this will give you headaches. Just relax the face, the jaw, the neck. Relax the shoulders. Come into awareness of the breathing at the same time. Notice how the exhalation is a deep, relaxative exhalation. The kind of exhalation we make when we sink into a very comfortable bed. And relax deeper with each exhalation. Allow the breathing to happen and notice how effortless the breathing is. Although you are not making any effort to breathe in any particular way, the body is doing it for you. The vast intelligence of the body knows exactly how to sustain you. Just let it happen. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Become fully aware of the body as a unified whole as it breathes in and out, exchanging gases, life-sustaining gases, with the atmosphere around you. Many of you will notice the mind has become calm and still and quiet. Just allow this to happen. If thoughts arise in the mind, don't become frustrated or agitated with them. Don't create the storyline that they shouldn't be there. Just allow it to happen and observe. Observe what is happening in the mind as though you are watching a movie. But remain always with the breath. As you breathe in and out, feel the body breathing, but no longer just the sensation of air as it flows in and out, but feel the energy field of the entire body. Feel the sense of aliveness that is in your hands, your arms and chest. Many of you that have practiced cultivating your awareness will now be able to experience a new type of energy arising in the abdominal area. It begins there, radiates outwards. Feel the blood flowing through the veins. Feel the heartbeat. Feel the breath. Feel the gravity holding you tightly to the earth. There's no need to think about anything. We are moving beyond thought. Feel the energies around you as it flows through the body, pulsating, breathing, living energy. This is the life force, the source of your being. Let it happen. Let the energy flood your body, the energy of awareness. Energy flows where attention goes. Bring your attention entirely into the body, into the now, this moment, no other moment. Notice how amazing it feels when the mind is free of thought and your natural state is allowed to shine through. Some of you can only go brief periods without thought before the mind overtakes again, but that's okay. Your power of presence will increase dramatically with practice. All that matters is the energy. Feel the life force flowing through your body, flowing beyond your body, radiating outwards from the center. Together, let us take a few deep conscious breaths, breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. Again, breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. One more time. Fill the lungs. Hold. Hold. Let it go. This type of meditation is exactly what it takes to begin to feel the inner energy field that Eckart talks about. That is what the life force is. That is what the energy is. And that is what matters. That is the healing, restorative, transformative power of creation itself. It is flowing through you every moment. You are never separate from the breath of life, from the life force energy, the spirit that moves in all things. Every cell of your body is alive. It has its own independent existence, all together in the same energy field. So when Eckart talks about going within and feeling the energy body, those of you that have been practicing on this channel, you already know exactly how to do that. There really is no other form of meditation necessary. Just earnestly, consciously practicing this one will get you there. And again, guys, It's all about consistency. It's all about frequency. As often as possible, drop into this type of meditation, even if it's just for 1 minute as you're standing in line somewhere. It's going to be good enough. Yes? Okay, guys. So, chapter 6. Let me see if anyone said anything. Hello, Crystal. Good to see you here. Hello, Jeffrey. Good to see you here. Yes, Brian Airy, Claire. Hello, my friend. Yes. Okay. So, guys, we are going to Grandma Zoo. Good to see you here. We're going to do chapter 6. Now, there is a number of things that I will want to talk about here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Chapter 6 is the inner body. So, please let me know if you have any questions or comments about any of this. Otherwise, I'm just going to read certain things. So I read through the chapter and highlighted certain things that I want to talk about. And we will use it, because you've all already read the chapter. So I'm not just going to read it verbatim, but I'm going to read certain parts that I feel are important to emphasize and possibly clarify. And I know this also because when I first read this book 20 years ago, I didn't understand. I didn't understand it. I thought I did. But only now do I know I didn't understand anything. I understood it from my point of consciousness at that time. But I was still deeply in the dream at that time. Because you have to go through life experience. So, Val says, chapter 6 really resonated with me. The best chapter yet. Yes, I totally agree. Good morning, Carol Fago. Yes. Sam Galaxy says, like buttons, please and thank you. Definitely, thank you. Muddy Paws says, rough stuff this week. Perfect timing with this chapter. Grateful to be here. We're all happy to be here as well, my friend. So, let us begin. The inner body. So the questioner says, you spoke earlier about the importance of having deep roots within or inhabiting the body. Can you explain what you mean by that? Eckart says, the body can become a point of access into the realm of being. The body can become a point of access into the realm of being. So we utilize the tool of the body here. Because the body, what is it really? It is a conglomeration, or it's a bunch of the senses. I can't think of the word right now. It's a blending of all of the senses, okay? The body is the senses, the touch, taste, sight, hearing, and also the mind is a sense, they call it in spiritual circles. The mind is also a sense. And so everything that you are experiencing in this realm requires the body. Without the body, you are pure energy, which can't actually experience anything because it is all things. It is all things all the time. You get brief glimpses of this when you go into deep sleep at night. You get brief glimpses of the ultimate reality when you go into deep sleep at night. Not dream sleep. I'm talking deep, dreamless sleep. We have to think of this. Your experience. Think of this, guys. Let this saturate it. Let this marinate in your mind. Deep, dreamless sleep. Where are you during dreamless? What's your experience during dreamless sleep? What's your experience of form? What's your experience of time? What's your experience of solid world? What's your experience of your loved ones? None whatsoever. Boom, just like that. It goes by. Boom. And you're restored. Without sleep, we will die. And so we have to go back to this state periodically to recharge. And so the body can become a point of access into the realm of being. That is why we use it to practice the meditations, to practice the cold trainings. We use it in every way we can. It is the greatest instrument that you will ever own. So It says, please stop trying to understand being. You have already had significant glimpses of being, but the mind will always try to squeeze it into a little box and then put a label on it. It cannot be done. It cannot become an object of knowledge. In being, subject and object merge into one. So what does that mean, guys? And only now, these past handful of years, do I understand this. In the sense that it cannot become an object of knowledge. You cannot know being because only the mind can know. And to know something has to be separate or apparently separate from the thing. Yes? Just like a knife cannot cut itself. It has to cut something else that's separate from it. A flame cannot burn itself. It can only burn something separate from it. Do you understand this? And so being cannot be known because it's not separate from us. It is the substratum by which all things appear and disappear. So we are working with the frameworks of the mind, the deep structures of the mind with this. Let me see. Oh, a tip. Thank you very much, Wojtek. We don't get much on this channel. $10. Says, within this vessel of clay and breath, consciousness finds its dancing ground, a meeting place of the eternal and the fleeting. Man, wonderful, wonderful. Is that from the Tao? Thank you very much for the contribution, my friend, and for being here energetically in every way. I appreciate you guys. So, in being, subject and object merge into one. There is no subject and object. This is the ultimate reality. Non-dual, not two. There is no subject and object in the ultimate reality. The mind fractures reality, apparently, although it can't fracture the totality of all that is. But the mind, that's what it does. It fractures and compartmentalizes and makes it seem like there is two and multiplicity of things, but there never has been. There's only one. So, so he says, to feel and know that you are, Jesus says will make you free. And she says, free from what? What will this make you free from? Abiding in the body, what will it free you from? And Eckart says, free from the illusion that you are nothing more than your physical body and your mind. This illusion of self, as the Buddha calls it, is the core error. Free from fear in its countless disguises as the inevitable consequence of that illusion. The fear that is your constant tormentor as long as you derive your sense of self only from this ephemeral and vulnerable form. And free from sin, which is the suffering you unconsciously inflict on yourself and others, as long as this illusory sense of self governs what you think, say, and do. Guys, listen, this is the foundation. This is what we just said, what we just talked about. He says, free from the illusion that you are your physical body and mind. This illusion of self, as the Buddha calls it, is the core error. Illusion of self. What does that mean? Ultimately, it means there is no self. It is an illusion. There's no self of any kind whatsoever. In spiritual circles, we often think, we say my higher self. But again, it's a word. It's not an actual self. It is the self, the infinite mind of God. That there is no individual little tiny self like we think that there is. It is only an illusion projected by the mind. But again, you only know this. You only know you've been dreaming once you become lucid in the dream or once you wake up. Until then, you're just the dream. So it won't make sense. Illusion of self is the core error. So Eckart says, look beyond the words. And so she says, the questioner says, I don't like the word sin. It implies that I'm being judged and found guilty. Wait, I want to back up just a little bit. So at the end of that paragraph, Eckart says, you're free from the fear and free from sin. Free from sin, which is the suffering you unconsciously inflict on yourself and others, as long as this illusory sense of self governs what you say, think, and do. Free from sin, guys. Because the ultimate source of creation is the energy that flows through you. Only the ego appears to sin. Beyond that, there is no sin. There is no sin. And I know that this runs absolutely contrary to the main, Christian-based type religion, Catholic religion, which instills deeply in you that you are sin, original sin. There's nothing you can do. You have a dirty, filthy, unclean heart, and you have to repent, and you need a savior to save your unclean, filthy, sinful heart. Just keep repeating it into the young kid's mind until they grow up, and it structures their whole reality. Okay, I'm sinner. There is no sin, my friends. And only once you see deeply can we understand that. So okay, and then he goes on. So it says, free from sin. That is what is available to you in this state of being. Then she says, I don't like the word sin. He says, don't get stuck on the level of words. A word is no more than a means to an end. It's an abstraction. Not unlike a signpost, it points beyond itself. The word honey isn't honey. You can't hang on one second. The word honey isn't honey. You can study and talk about honey for as long as you like, but you won't really know it until you taste it. After you have tasted it, the word becomes less important to you. You won't be attached to it anymore. Similarly, you can talk or think about God continuously for the rest of your life, but that does not mean you know or have even glimpsed the reality to which the word points. It really is no more than an obsessive attachment to a signpost, a mental idol. Guys, this is just so deeply profound, so you can understand what he's saying. The word honey isn't honey. So until you've tasted it, you won't understand the experience. You won't understand what it's actually like. You won't be able to know it. And then he says, same with the word God. You can talk or think about God continuously for the rest of your life, but that doesn't mean you know or have even glimpsed the reality to which the word points. And this is most people that talk about God. They have not even begun to glimpse the immense power, the true nature of God. Because they are hung up with the concept. They've got God all written down to the tiniest little concept that God has all these wants and desires for you. God wants, and God is vengeful and envious and all these other human attributes and all this huge storyline of what happened back in the past in this timeline, and they're hung up in all of that, missing, never even beginning to experience God within them. Experience themselves as God. Sweeping page, $10. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Says, I gotta go for now. Thank you for introducing me to this book. Yes. Watch the replay, my friend. Thank you for the tip. I appreciate this. So, it really is no more than an obsessive attachment to a signpost, a mental idol. And so many people use this mental idol, this attachment, and say, God doesn't want this or doesn't want that. No, your ego mind doesn't want this or want that. And you're attributing ultimate authority to that. It goes really deep, guys. It goes real deep. So, then okay. Yeah, so then the lady says, the questioner says, I don't like those words either. They imply there's something wrong with me, like I'm being judged. Eckart says, of course there's something wrong with you, and you are not being judged. I don't mean to offend you personally, but do you not belong to the human race that has killed over 100 million members of its own species in the 20th century alone? And the questioner says, you mean guilt by association? Eckart says, it is not a question of guilt, but as long as you are run by the egoic mind, you are part of the collective insanity. Perhaps you haven't looked very deeply into the human condition in its state of dominance by the ego mind, which is what we have right now. Open your eyes and see the fear, the despair, the greed, and the violence that are all pervasive. See the heinous cruelty and suffering on an unimaginable scale that humans have inflicted and continue to inflict on each other, as well as on all other life forms on the planet. You don't need to condemn, just observe. That is sin. That is insanity. That is unconsciousness. Above all, listen, after saying all of that, he says, above all, don't forget to observe your own mind. Seek out the root of insanity there. Above all, don't forget to observe your own mind and find the root of insanity there, because you are part of the collective consciousness. And very important, after he says all this, the heinous cruelty and suffering on an unimaginable scale, he says, you don't need to condemn, just observe. Condemn, judge, that is all part of the ego mind. Just observe the reality for what it is. So many people, when I start talking about things that I've seen in the world and the state of the human race and the what we've done to the planet and the terminal diagnosis that is our modern civilization, the self-terminating system that is exponential growth of all of our systems. When I start talking like that, people immediately think that it's condemnation, and they think, well, you're just being pessimistic, and that's just, I prefer to have hope and stuff like that. And it's not a matter of hope. It's not a matter of pessimism or optimism. It's just observing. It's totally neutral observation. Observing, this is the state. This is the state that we are in. And you just observe. Only once the ego mind has been freed are we able to really observe without reaction, which we'll get into here in a moment. So above all, don't forget to observe your own mind. Seek out the root of insanity there, but don't condemn yourself. Just observe. That's all that is required. One second, guys. If I wasn't live, I would edit this part out, but we're live, so. Okay. Claire says, I so agree, Nate. I get that exact same pushback. And definitely. And especially if they're still operating from the ego mind, then they're going to immediately judge. That's what the ego mind does. Judges, condemns, dissects, praises, lowers, all this kind of stuff. But they can't, when you say this to people, if you're coming from a state free of the ego, then they will observe it or they will receive it based upon their level of consciousness. And if they're still in the ego, then they're going to think that is a horrible condemnation and you're being, pessimistic and we got to have hope and there's going to be this and that. It's totally beyond all of that, guys. It's totally beyond all of that. It's perfectly neutral. Remember, ultimate reality, the sum total of all things is zero, always. Now and forever. So, Cowgirl in Arizona says, this is powerful information. Thanks again for bringing us this wonderful book. This is so deep. Yes, my friends, this is as deep as it gets. I mean, we're going to the core here with this book and everything we talk about on this channel, really, when it comes to the nature of reality. Creative Soil says, I'm practicing my Viking slurp with chamomile and lemon tea. Yes, it sounds delicious. I'm still nursing my morning cup of joe. So, okay, so back to the book. Finding Your Invisible and Indestructible Reality. The questioner says, you said that identification with our physical form is part of the illusion. So how can the body, the physical form, bring you to a realization of being? That's a good question, isn't it? So you said identification with the form is the core error. So how can our form be what leads us into being? It seems like a paradox. So Eckart says, the body that you can see and touch cannot take you into being, but that visible and tangible body is only an outer shell, or rather a limited and distorted perception of a deeper reality. In your natural state of connectedness with being, this deeper reality can be felt every moment as the invisible inner body, the animating presence within you. So to inhabit the body is to feel the body from within, to feel the life inside the body, and thereby come to know that you are beyond the outer form. This is exactly what we do in our meditations. Yes, this is exactly what we do. We inhabit the body. We go within and we feel the sense of aliveness. Now, at first, a lot of people, so don't become discouraged. When you do this, you won't be able to feel an intense sense of aliveness. You'll feel like a dull sort of, okay, what's this? Okay, I go within the body and da 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 da. Okay, I feel something, I guess, but it hasn't yet become uncovered. It hasn't become strong. The light has not become cranked up. But as you practice the meditation and the cold training and the breath work and the sauna therapy and all of the things, these are all intense meditations. As you practice that, your ability to feel the energy will increase dramatically until there will come a point when you can simply, you'll notice it in stages. What was just a dull sort of sensation in your hands, maybe, as you become more attuned, you'll be able to go into meditation and feel the body breathing. You'll be able to feel. See, we start with just feeling the nostril, the area around the nostrils going in, going out, going in, going out. That's where most people have to start. That's the doorway. But then as we progress, we breathe. We feel the chest expanding, the lungs. We feel the clothing on the chest as it rises and falls. Then we expand more and we feel the whole body breathing. And we feel the atmosphere around us as our energies become more subtle and more acutely aware of the subtleties of energy work and the ways the energy flows in this realm. Then we can feel more and more until we feel our whole body breathing and we feel the atmosphere around us expanding as we're breathing. You can feel this, I assure you. You can feel the whole earth as it's breathing. And as you become more subtly aware, you can feel the universe, the cosmos, I'm serious, breathing with you in and out, in and out. And you feel this intense sense of alive energy pulsating like a radiating, like on a sonar graph, just beep, 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 just radiating out from you in all directions so intensely. It could be described as bliss. And you will be able to feel this. That is your natural state. This overwhelming sense of aliveness. It's accessible to everyone all the time. So if you can't feel that yet, don't despair. It's coming. So, Eckart says, but that is only, so to inhabit the body is to feel the body from within, to feel the life inside the body and thereby come to know that you are beyond the outer form. Then Eckart says, but that is only the beginning of an inward journey that will take you ever more deeply into a realm of great stillness and peace, yet also of great power and vibrant life. Guys, this is exactly what we were just talking about, except in a different way. It's the beginning of an inward journey that will take you ever more deeply to great stillness and peace, yet also of great power and vibrant life. What am I always saying? That the true spirituality is not pacifism. It's not just sitting there letting the world fall down around you, letting people walk all over you. No, not at all. Sometimes it's just, oftentimes it's just letting go, but not at all. It's also of great power and vibrant life because you're guided by the heart energy, the sense of knowing, and it tells you exactly what to do in every situation without fail. The heart always knows because it's connected to the infinite source of knowledge, the infinite source of creation. So Okay. At first, you might only get fleeting glimpses of it, but through them, you will begin to realize that you are not just a meaningless fragment in an alien universe, briefly suspended between birth and death, allowed a few short-lived pleasures followed by pain and ultimate annihilation. Listen to that, guys. That is what most people believe. That is seriously the state that they are walking around in, which now to me sounds insane, even though I used to walk around in this state. It says these glimpses might be fleeting, but through them you will begin to realize you are not just a meaningless fragment in an alien universe, briefly suspended between birth and death, allowed a few short-lived pleasures followed by pain and ultimate annihilation. That is absolutely the opposite of what you are. It cannot be overstated how absurd that is. Yet, it's most people's state of belief, state of mind. Eckart says, underneath your outer form, you are connected with something so vast, so immeasurable and sacred that it cannot be conceived of or spoken of. Yet I am speaking of it now. I am speaking of it not to give you something to believe in, but to show you how you can know it for yourself. You can know it for yourself. That radiant energy we were talking about is your energy. Is your energy. Not your particular energy as your little body, but your energy as the ultimate source of creation. That's what you are. Remember, in the beginning of the chapter, like I'm always saying, there is no self. Let go of the whole concept that I'm a person with a life situation, with a life and all of my beliefs and all of that. Let go of it. Let go of it. And you will find ultimate freedom all the time. Then Eckart says, you are cut off from being as long as your mind takes up all your attention. When this happens, and it happens continuously for most people, you are not in your body. The mind absorbs all your consciousness and transforms it into mind stuff. You cannot stop thinking. Listen, guys. The mind absorbs all your consciousness and transforms it into mind stuff. You cannot stop thinking. Compulsive thinking has become a collective disease. Your whole sense of who you are is then derived from mind activity. Guys, we see this everywhere. Most humans, and collectively, has become possessed by the ego mind, the thinking mind. Many people, when they begin to meditate, and I know this from those years of teaching meditation to beginners and stuff, and advanced people, that when they begin to meditate, they are floored by the realization that there is a commentator. Most people are so deeply identified with the activity of the mind that they don't even understand. They don't even realize that there's a commentator in their ear, commenting on everything that is happening, everything, judging, and the emotions that come up with all of that. The commentator is also the emotions. Emotions are also of the ego mind, which can be perfectly fine. It's perfectly neutral, but emotions are also of the ego mind. They are not of the ultimate reality within. And so, this is most people's state. They cannot stop thinking. And so you try to meditate and you're like, okay, go another breath, and you're holding on really tight. Oh man, then the mind just goes away. It just goes to whatever else you want, or because you have no control over it. You're totally at the mercy of the ego mind, the thinking mind. This is most people's mental state, and it creates a sympathetic nervous response in their body, and they operate from a sympathetic state, their nervous system. So this is the predominant factor on your overall health. If you are predominantly in the sympathetic or the parasympathetic nervous system operative mode, and overthinking and worrying and overanalyzing and overplanning and over-talking to yourself in the mind, these are all things that are going to lead you to a state of sympathetic response, stress and hormone release, chronic. It causes inflammation, all kinds of things. We'll get into that later. So it says your whole sense of who you are is then derived from mind activity. Now this is most people's state. They feel that they think unconsciously. They just assume that I am my emotions, that I am my belief system. Well, see, I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat. That well, I only vote like this, and I've got these beliefs, and I believe this about abortion, and I believe this about rights, and I believe this, and that they unconsciously, that's who they are. That little package of beliefs and little things that they want to quarrel about, that's who they are. That's just an unconscious assumption for most people. And they're totally identified with the mind. And they, this even happens with very intelligent people. People with a very sharp mind, like classically, like maybe they went to like MIT or they went to like some, they're engineer or they're some really technical, they've got a really technical mind, that got really good grades and things like that. These people will often be deeply identified with their sense of intelligence. Well, I am very intelligent. I have this high functioning capabilities. I can regurgitate knowledge on a test and all of this, so that is who they are as well. So it doesn't matter. It's not a matter of intelligence whatsoever. It's a matter of identification. So, yes, let's see. Brian says, every decision I've made against the heart has failed. Absolutely. Muddy Paws says, the commentator is an exhausting liar until we pull the plug on the microphone and shut it up. Definitely, guys. And we want to, so we can pull the plug, definitely. I mean, that happens. But we also will come into a different type of relationship with the commentator, because just like you cannot stop your sense of sight willingly, you cannot stop your sense of hearing willingly or of touch. You cannot stop your senses. And the commentator thinking mind is like a sense. And so it never fully goes away. It doesn't just, when awakening happens, it doesn't just poof, there's no more. It's a totally different kind of relationship. It's that you're not any of these things anymore. And so you can play with the commentator is like a little toddler in your mind. It'll still whisper things, but you're aware of it as soon as it comes. You watch, because a switch happens and you can see every thought right as soon as it arises in the mind, before it has a chance to become any kind of, oh no, this or that, or sensations. You catch all of this. You watch. You can hear the commentator and you can laugh at it, or you can play with it. But there's the disconnection. You're no longer are that. Hope that makes sense. So so Eckart says, your whole sense of who you are is then derived from mind activity. Your identity, as it is no longer rooted in being, becomes a vulnerable and ever needy mental construct, which creates fear as the predominant underlying emotion. Your identity is a mental construct. A mental construct. So which creates fear as the predominant underlying emotion, especially in our modern society that pumps fear into you. Then Eckart says, the one thing that truly matters then is missing from your life: awareness of your deeper self, your invisible and indestructible reality. After saying all that, he says, the one thing that truly matters is then missing from your life: awareness of your deeper self. Which, of course, we're using the word self, but there is no self. So the deeper self is the one, the ultimate, infinite mind of God, the source of all creation. It's not a being that is then another self. Okay, you can't get rid of the self. Who is going to get rid of the self? Another self? I mean, who's going to get rid of the ego? A second ego? It's an illusion. To become conscious of being, you need to reclaim consciousness from the mind. This is one of the most essential tasks on your spiritual journey. It will free vast amounts of consciousness that previously have been trapped in useless and compulsive thinking. How many of you, once you observe the mind, once you begin to observe the mind, and you begin to hear the commentator instead of being the commentator, and you begin to observe this, you will see how much of your thinking is cyclical, repetitive, and useless. Repetitive and useless. And you will also see, you'll see so many things, but you'll see how suggestion works in your life. Remember, hopefully you guys have read Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion by Emile Q. Yes, it's an old school book, but it will give you the framework by which you can understand how suggestion works in your mind. And then you can observe, and you will see this is absolutely true. And once you begin watching the mind, you will see how your likes and desires and even how you're feeling is all suggestive thought in your own mind, self-suggestion. But you're not consciously self-suggesting these things. So once you become conscious of it, you've got this immense power that is already driving your life, except now you are aware of it. So, it will free vast amounts of consciousness that have been trapped before, and you'll have this whole sense of new creativity. Life becomes fresh again. Life becomes fresh and just invigorated with positivity, and the right situations attract. Man. Okay, we'll go on. Muddy pause. Okay, the name of that book, Self-Mastery Through Conscious Auto-Suggestion by a Frenchman named Emile Q. It's a real small book, very old, 100 years or so. Read it. Or you can listen to it online because it's like out of print now. It's totally obscured. So let us carry on. Okay, let me take another drink. Sorry, guys, but don't get to edit this. We got to do a Viking slurp. Okay. Now, Eckart says, transformation through the body. The questioner says, why have most religions condemned or denied the body? It seems that spiritual seekers have always regarded the body as a hindrance or even as sinful. And then Eckart replies with a beautiful, beautiful response to that question. Eckart says, why have so few seekers become finders? Why have so few seekers become finders? I saw this throughout the world to an astonishing degree when I was traveling, living in ashrams, living in Northern California, living in commune type situations with all kinds of spiritual people, even yogis, babas, all these kind of things. Different kind of, in Morocco, I was with the Muslim priests and everything, living in the village, all this kind of stuff. And then here at the Buddhist temple and Buddhism, I've been involved deeply in all of it for a long time. And it is astonishingly rare to find someone that is liberated. Awakening is different than liberation. And we could go into that deeper in a whole separate episode. But I only know this now, this past small handful of years after the transition, the switch. But why have so few seekers become finders? Because they are completely identified with the framework of seeking. They are saying there is something that is lost. I must find it. And so long as that is the belief, there will always be something to strive towards. There will always be something that you will be seeking. So few even monks, even many, many monks that have dedicated their entire life to this are not liberated. But I only know this now. So Eckart says, a long time after their fall. Okay, so he's talking about how the body is an animal. We are animals, basically. We share all of our functionings with the animals. A long time after their fall from a state of grace and oneness into illusion, humans suddenly woke up in what seemed to be an animal body, and they found this very disturbing. So Eckhart is saying what countless religious texts have put into story, parables, and also what I experienced in India. And all of it points towards a state of oneness. And then I go within and I can feel that this is the way that it is now. It used to be as well. The state of oneness into illusion. Humans suddenly woke up, essentially when they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. But we won't get into all that right now. So the light of their consciousness was not yet strong enough to make friends with their animal nature, to allow it to be and to even enjoy that aspect of themselves, let alone go deeply into it to find the divine hidden within, the reality within the illusion. So they did what they had to do. They began to disassociate from their body. They now saw themselves as having a body rather than just being it. He's talking about the fall from grace. The consciousness was not yet strong enough to make friends with their animal nature and allow it to be and even enjoy that aspect of themselves. This is the ultimate realization, is that once the disassociation happens, the transition, you will still have the animal nature. All of it is still there, but it's no longer you. It's just something you can observe, and you can go in and consciously utilize your animal nature. You can play with the animal nature. You can allow it consciously to manifest within you and to flow outwards without overtaking you. Most people are overtaken by their animal nature, completely overtaken. They're not aware that it's even there, just like the commentator in the head. So Eckhart says, the fact is that no one has ever become enlightened through denying or fighting the body or through an out-of-body experience. Although such an experience can be fascinating and can give you a glimpse of the state of liberation from the material form, in the end you will always have to return to the body, where the essential work of transformation takes place. The transformation is through the body, not away from it. Guys, what he just described is so many people with psychedelic experiences. I get this question all the time. People trying to decipher their psychedelic experiences. And no one's ever become enlightened through this, although people think that they have. It can be fascinating and can give you a glimpse of the state of liberation from material form. In the end, you will always have to return to the body where the essential work of transformation takes place. But I assure you, it can be grasped in a whole deeper level naturally, without any type of psychedelic or mind or mood altering substance of any kind. Guys, it's going on 6 years now for me without any mind or mood altering substance. And I've never looked back. It's been phenomenal. And I know this is cliche, but I experience levels so much higher than psychedelics ever gave to me. And I was really into psychedelics back in the day. But that just pales in comparison to the states that I am in, even right now as we speak. The clarity is... So you don't need any of that stuff, guys. Nothing. You don't need anything, period. So Eckhart says, that is why no true master has ever advocated fighting or leaving the body, although their mind-based followers often have. Although their mind-based followers often have. See how he just throws in these immense, deepest, most profound levels of truth in like a little afterthought sentence? He says, no true master has ever advocated fighting or leaving the body, although their mind-based followers often have. We see this all the time with religions and things that even Buddhism, even all the established religions have taken the source and then gone through and created a mind-based structure around it. Yes? You know the analogy of the spontaneous smile that I use, yes? Let me just say it one more time. But let us suppose that you and I both know that a smile, a real beautiful smile, is spontaneous. It has to be. It has to be spontaneous. It can't be forced. You can always tell when there's a forced smile. So let us suppose that there was someone with a beautiful smile, spontaneous smile, and other people saw that and said, wow, that is amazing. We want to have that. Look at that beautiful thing. We want to have that. And so then they will congregate around this person with the beautiful, spontaneous smile. And once this person goes, either leaves or dies or whatever it is, then the followers will say, okay, they will create a system. They will say, okay, how to smile spontaneously. And they will say, you have to hold the mouth like this, and then you have to look like this in the eyes, and then you have to say this, and you have to blah, blah, blah. And they will all be practicing how to smile spontaneously the whole time, missing it. None of them will actually achieve that. Some of them may, but not through the form of how to practice the spontaneous smile. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And this is the essence of what we see with most religions. People with their mind-based following, just what Eckart just says, they will see that and they will say, okay, well, we have to hold our mouth this way. We have to do this. Not realizing it comes from within, spontaneously, ultimately free. Yes? Thank you, guys. American says 6 years. Wow. Jeffrey says, that's awesome, Nate. Muddy Paul says, well done. Proud of you. Huge accomplishment. Thank you. B. Hendricks says, thank you for that reassurance, Nate. Yeah, definitely. And so thank you guys for that. And let me tell you that if you're struggling in any way with any kind of substance, that the key is just going within and realizing your true nature. And then it will all fall by the wayside by itself. I spent a couple of years in, as you know, if you've watched my addiction podcast episode, that I spent some time in a rehab facility, many years ago. And I was unable, it was just unbelievably challenging, going through the AA and stuff like that. It was just super difficult, man. I mean, impossible, because it wasn't yet coming from the inside. I was trying to act like a sober person, but once the transformation happened, then it completely fell by the wayside because my state of clarity and of bliss became higher without. And so it's, there's, a lot of people ask me, wow, that must take incredible willpower to go 6 years from what you were before, just drinking yourself to death, and I say, no, actually, it's been the most effortless thing you could imagine. There's literally zero desire whatsoever, because how could you ever want to compromise the peace and the clarity and just this state of reality? So rest assured, guys, it's not going to be, if you're dealing with substance, it's not going to be an endless battle of willpower, fighting against not taking some of the substance. You just have to go within and rearrange the seat of your awareness. And then it will fall by the wayside naturally, and it will be totally effortless. You'll never think of it again. You'll never think of that whole life ever again. Anyways, Eckart says, of the teachings concerning the body, only certain fragments survive, such as Jesus' statement that your whole body be filled with light, or they survive as myths, such as the belief that Jesus never relinquished his body, but remained one with it and ascended into heaven with it. Almost no one to this day has understood those fragments or the hidden meaning of certain myths, and the you are not your body belief has prevailed universally. Yes, okay, blah. So we'll skip over this. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yes, okay, so we're getting almost to the part so we're going to get to the really important part here. Now, the questioner says, is it possible to recover the lost teachings on the significance of the body or to resurrect them from existing fragments? And Eckart says, there is no need for that. All spiritual teachings originate from the same source. In that sense, there is and always has been only one master who manifests in many different forms. I am that master, and so are you, once you are able to access the source within. And the way to do it is through the inner body. Although all spiritual teachings originate from the same source, once they become verbalized and written down, they are obviously no more than collections of words, and a word is nothing but a signpost, as we talked about earlier. All such teachings are signposts pointing the way back to the source. I've experienced this for sure, guys. All spiritual teachings originate from the same source. They're encoded differently based upon the current culture of the time, based upon the culture of the time and the lingo that people use. You know, back in the day of Jesus, there was kingdoms, and it was patriarchy based. You know, I and my father are one. You know, it's a father. You know, it couldn't really be a mother because that wouldn't be accepted at that time. You know, and it has to be the kingdom because they understood kingdoms and things, and you have to serve your Lord. You know, all of this verbiage, all of these words were for a different time and place. You know, kingdom doesn't really mean anything to us anymore. You know, it's just a thought. And serving is it's all different now. So we have to use totally different words. Eckart is saying the same thing, but in modern encodement. Yeah. Ooh, sorry to hear that, cowgirl. Says, I'm so happy for you. My brother drank himself to death 2 years ago. Yeah, guys. Yeah, my condolences. There's nothing you can do to... It's just the saddest thing you could imagine. Someone drinking themselves to death. I know this because I was there on the mountain those years ago. And there's nothing that anyone can do. You just have to watch them die in the most miserable way. Unless they get the inspiration inside of them and it comes from within, then it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable at that point. If it is your destiny to thrive like that, it's unstoppable. So don't feel bad if a loved one has drank themselves or used themselves to death. It's within them. It's a disease that lives in our thinking only. So, Eckart says, I have already spoken of the truth that is hidden within your body, but I will summarize for you again the lost teachings of the masters. Here we go, guys. Eckart's going to summarize the lost teachings of the masters. So get ready. So, see, I got this all highlighted. Eckart says, now, be receptive to this, because this is very, very profound. Eckart says, what you perceive as a dense physical structure called the body, which is subject to disease, old age, and death, is not ultimately real, is not you. It is a misperception of your essential reality that is beyond birth and death, and is due to the limitations of your mind, which, having lost touch with being, creates the body as evidence of its illusory belief in separation, and to justify its state of fear. Listen to that. So what Eckart is saying, this body is not real. What we're constantly saying here. It is a misperception of your essential reality, which is beyond birth and death. So he says, due to the limitations of your mind, which have lost touch with being, creates the body as evidence. The mind creates the body. If that's, some of you will be ready to receive something like that. And that will, what? The mind creates the body. The body does not contain the mind. All of this entire experience is only happening in the mind. This is the ultimate reality. I've said it so many ways in my own encodement. Eckart is saying it here in his encodement. It's the exact same thing. There is no body. There is no you. There is only mind. Everything is happening within the mind. Without the mind, ultimate reality. So he says, having lost touch with being creates the body as evidence of its illusory belief in separation and to justify its state of fear. But do not turn away from the body, for within that symbol of impermanence, limitation, and death that you perceive as the illusory creation of your mind is concealed the splendor of your essential and immortal reality. He is saying within that illusion, that is the body, which is subject to the laws of this realm, which is birth, death, old age, yes, sickness, all of that, your true nature How does he say it? Your mind is concealed the splendor of your essential and immortal reality. Immortal, beyond birth and death. If there is a fear of death still within you, you can rest assured you have not purified yourself to the highest state of your awareness. You have not. There is still the ego mind. Only the ego mind can be born and died. Only the ego mind is subject to the laws of karma. Only the ego mind gets reincarnated, what appears to be rebirth, reincarnated. Beyond that, you are immortal. You are infinite being. Now, how many infinites can there be? There can only be one infinite anything, because where would it bump up against the limitations of another infinite? I'm not an infinite being, and then you're an infinite being. My thing's about to die, maybe. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Okay. So guys, can you, let's see here. I got to try and plug this thing in. Let me know if how's it working? Can you still hear the sound? Is everything working? How's the sound? Is the sound still working? Okay, so Jeffrey says, sounds like just flipping a switch, consciously, unconsciously, or something like that, perhaps. Flipping a switch. Okay, good. You guys are saying that it's all working. Good, thank you. It's like flipping a switch. Actually, I saw a question from Creative Soil last time that I forgot to answer, but he said, are my affirmations only for my ego? And I wanted to say, absolutely not. It may appear that way, but through the affirmations, we are going beyond the ego. We are going to the subconscious mind, and it is rewriting your entire belief structures, habit patterns. So it's going much deeper than the ego. But now, is it the ultimate immortal self reality? No, the ultimate immortal self does not need to be reminded that I am the ultimate immortal self. Only the ego mind needs to be reminded of its higher states, or it needs to be purified. The infinite source of creation doesn't need anything from you. It doesn't need anything, period. So, let's see. Now, he says, but do not turn away from the body. Splendor. Do not turn your attention elsewhere in your search for the truth, for it is nowhere else to be found but within your body. We're going back to the sermon. This is what Eckart said is the ultimate. I'm going to summarize the teachings of all the masters right here. So do not turn your attention elsewhere in your search for the truth, for it is nowhere else to be found but within your body. Jesus was quoted of saying the same thing. Do not look for the kingdom of God to be coming with trumpets and signs from the clouds, basically. It says, for look within. The kingdom of God is within you. It is within you. It is you. It is not a kingdom of some God that is separate from you. This is the fundamental error. You, your awareness, the infinite source of creation is God. So, Eckart says, do not fight against the body, for in doing so, you are fighting against your own reality. You are your body. The body that you can see and touch is only a thin, illusory veil. Underneath it lies the invisible inner body, the doorway into being, into life unmanifested. Through the inner body, you are inseparably connected to this unmanifested one life. Birthless, deathless, eternally present. Through the inner body, you are forever one with God. So if you are forever one with God, what does that mean? That the ultimate source You are God. You have to become comfortable with even playing with that concept. From the ego mind, no, it's absurd, and that's megalomaniac. I am God, yes. That's not at all what we're saying. It's the opposite of what we're saying. So you have to feel that. You don't have a relationship with God. You are a dream in the mind of God. So we don't have a whole lot more left, a couple pages. Now Eckart says, the key is to be in a state of permanent connectedness with your inner body, to feel it at all times. The key is to be in a state of permanent connectedness with your inner body, to feel it at all times. This will rapidly deepen and transform your life. The more consciousness you direct into the inner body, the higher its vibrational frequency becomes. Much like a light that grows brighter as you turn up the dimmer switch and so increase the flow of electricity. Now here's important, guys. At this higher energy level, negativity cannot affect you anymore. And you tend to attract new circumstances that reflect this higher frequency. This is the ultimate truth. So as you begin to remain connected with this awareness, a transformation is happening. The electrical charges are transforming, rewiring things, neurons, all kinds of stuff is happening. Your aura is changing. The frequency is raising. Yeah, from a wong 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 to a wong 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 wong, much higher frequency. Okay. So Jeffrey, I don't think I froze up, did I? But so the okay, yeah, you guys say refresh the live. So the more consciousness you direct into the inner body, the higher its vibrational frequency becomes, much like turning up the light, okay? At this higher energy level, negativity cannot affect you anymore. This is what this is what you have to understand. And so people say, well, how do you deal? They think that awakening or raising your vibration is learning how to deal with lower negative energy fields. But as you raise the frequency, as Eckart is saying, and I also say, negativity cannot affect you anymore. When you raise your vibration to a certain level, none of that trifling little low energy stuff can even begin to penetrate your aura, your toroidal energy field. Yes? Look up toroidal energy field. Nothing can even begin to penetrate that. So you don't have to worry about energetic vampires and stuff anymore. So but it's also true that you don't put yourself in those situations anymore. You don't attract people that are energetic vampires. You don't attract negativity anymore. And you don't willingly put yourself in that situation anymore because you know you found the diamond within. You do not, even for 1 second, are you going to jeopardize that by hanging out with the same low vibrational people. And it's not judging those people. It's just a matter of frequency. It's just not the same frequency anymore. We're not vibrating at the same frequency anymore. And so you will attract new circumstances that reflect this higher frequency. Oh man, is that true or what? So he says, if you keep your attention in the body as much as possible, you will be anchored in the now. The art of inner body awareness will develop into a completely new way of living, a state of permanent connectedness with being, and will add a depth to your life that you have never known before. This is the truth, guys. The more that you practice this, it will develop into a completely new way of living, a state of permanent connectedness with being. And if I could I think that's really when the transformation sort of happened, when it was like intermittent for several years and like practicing all these things intermittent. And then all of a sudden, over the course of like a 3-day period, it just boom. And the whole sense of self dissolved. The whole sense of being a local entity in a space-time continuum kind of thing just dissolved. The sense of being localized dissolved. And it it has never gone back. The sense of connectedness to all things has never left. And so I know that what he is saying, I know exactly that this is true. It will add a depth to your life that you have never known before. And so, because people ask me, because I used to meditate for hours, guy. Oh man, I was like, I'm talking sitting meditation and stuff for hours. And I was teaching meditation at the Buddhist temple. I would get there hours early, and so I meditate for hours, and so like several times a week and stuff. And so people ask me now, like, hey, do you still practice Vipassana? Or hey, do you want to come to the meditations and stuff? And I'm just like, no, because I don't need it anymore. I see it now. It was a tool for awakening. But once you're awake, your whole life becomes a meditation. So rarely do I just sit and practice, like the old forms of meditation that I used to practice all the time, like Vipassana and Anapanasati and stuff like this, because there's no need. I'm fully awake now. And so I don't, everything becomes a meditation. The cold training, that's a type of meditation, the sauna. But even this, just every movement, your whole life becomes a nonstop flow of meditation that you never are out of. Your awareness never leaves anymore. Man. And I never saw that one coming. So Eckart says, it is easy to stay present as the observer of your mind when you are deeply rooted within your body. No matter what happens on the outside, nothing can shake you anymore. No matter what happens on the outside, nothing can shake you anymore. And this is a wonderful feeling, guys. So, let's see here. Did we get a donation from? Oh, these are for the walking onions. Eckart says, unless you stay present, and inhabiting your body is always an essential aspect of it, you will continue to be run by your mind. The script in your head that you learned a long time ago, the conditioning of your mind, will dictate your thinking and your behavior. You may be free of it for brief intervals, but rarely for long. This is especially true when something goes wrong or there is some loss or upset. Your conditioned reaction will then be involuntary, automatic, and predictable, fueled by the one basic emotion that underlies the mind-identified state of consciousness, which is fear. So, as long as you are not present, that means identified with your mind, the script in your head that you learned a long time ago, the program. If you've read The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, the program that has been in the mind that you get between 0 and 7 of years of age will continue to dictate all of your reactions. Because most people think that they are acting. Most people think they have something called free will and that they are choosing to act in certain ways in life. But unless you are free of the ego mind, this actually isn't true. There is no free will in the ego mind. It's an illusion. You are operating based upon the set of conditioning, the things that have happened to you in life. And it's involuntary, automatic, and reflexive. And it's encouraged in our modern society to be as reflexive as possible, reactive as possible. To just react before you've even had time to process something or think about it logically or utilize critical thinking, any of that. Already you just have to formulate a reactive, an emotion, a response, and that's encouraged in our society because those people are slaves, easy to control. The people that, oh no, oh, Ukraine, and then, oh, Hamas, and then, oh, ISIS, and then, oh, American Idol, and then, oh, Taylor Swift at the football game, and then, oh, and they have absolutely no anchor. They don't know who they are. They don't know anything except what they're told to know. And so this is all the functioning of the mind. This is exactly what we're talking about. People that are anchored in the now, anchored in being, cannot be manipulated because they are being led by the heart energy, which is the source of creation itself. So you cannot deceive it, and you cannot control it. And you don't need to control it because it is beautiful in everything that it does, and it always knows what's good. So, okay, just a couple more things, guys. So Eckart says, in a fully functional organism, an emotion has a very short lifespan. It is like a momentary ripple or wave on the surface of your being. When you are not in your body, however, an emotion can survive inside you for days or weeks, or join with other emotions of a similar frequency that have merged and become the pain body, a parasite that can live inside you for years, feed on your energy, lead to physical illness, and make your life miserable. So here we see the pain body again, guys. And he is saying that an emotion has a very short lifespan. And so you have to be aware. This is what I was talking about earlier. There comes a point when your awareness is sustained. And so you can see any thought or any kind of thing that comes into your field of experience before it gains the momentum and becomes a big emotion. And then you think that I'm this way because I feel this way. This emotion is telling me to do this and that. So when you're present and aware, those things don't take root. They just float through your mind and through your experience like a cloud passing in the sky. And you're free of all of it. But if you're not aware, it can become lodged and trapped and remain for weeks inside of you. So how many of you have experienced that? So the questioner says, I must admit that this is way beyond my comprehension, and yet on some deeper level, I seem to know what you are talking about. It's more like a feeling than anything else. Am I deceiving myself? Eckart says, no, you are not. Feeling will get you closer to the truth of who you are than thinking. I cannot tell you anything that deep within you don't already know. When you have reached a certain stage of interconnectedness, you recognize the truth when you hear it. Many of you are at this stage already. When you've reached a certain stage of interconnectedness, you recognize the truth when you hear it. Pretty much most of you are there. If you haven't reached that stage yet, the practice of body awareness will bring about the deepening that is necessary. And so the heart energy is what we're talking about essentially, because the heart energy is connected to the field of knowing. And so it just knows. And so you can recognize the truth. And many of you, even if you have not actualized the things we talk about, there is something within you that says, yes, this is the truth. This is the way. Something is resonating. This freedom is calling me. This liberation is calling me. I don't know exactly why or what, but I just know the energy is pulling me there. Go with it. Just go with it. In the meantime, awareness of the inner body has benefits in the physical realm. One of them is a significant slowing down of the aging of the physical body. Whereas the outer body normally appears to grow old and wither fairly quickly, the inner body does not change with time, except that you may feel it more deeply and become it more fully, aging in reverse in many ways. If you are 20 years old now, the energy field of your inner body will feel just the same when you are 80. If you're 20 now, the energy field of your inner body will feel just the same when you're 80. It will be just as vibrantly alive. As soon as your habitual state changes from being out of the body and trapped in your mind to being in the body and present in the now, your physical body will feel lighter, clearer, more alive. Yes, this is true. This is true exponentially to an absurd degree. It just keeps getting deeper. As there is more consciousness in the body, its molecular structure actually becomes less dense. More consciousness means a lessening of the illusion of materiality. The illusion of materiality. Nothing is real, my friends. When you become identified more with the timeless inner body than with the outer body, when presence becomes your normal mode of consciousness and past and future no longer dominate your attention, you do not accumulate time anymore in your psyche and in the cells of the body. The accumulation of time as the psychological burden of past and future greatly impairs the cell's capacity for self-renewal. So if you inhabit the inner body, the outer body will grow old in a much slower rate, and even when it does, your timeless essence will shine through the outer form, and you will not give the appearance of an old person. I saw this all over the world, guys. old people, 80s, 90s, and beyond, that radiated life from their eyes and from their aura. It was just wonderful. So, okay, one more page and we're almost done. Creative use of mind. Eckart says, if you need to use your mind for a specific purpose, use it in conjunction with your energy, with your inner body. Only if you are able to be conscious without thought can you use your mind creatively. And it's the easiest way to enter that state is through your body. Whenever an answer, listen, this is specific guidelines, which I am also always saying. Whenever an answer, a solution, or a creative idea is needed, stop thinking for a moment by focusing attention on your inner energy field. Become aware of the stillness. When you resume thinking, it will be fresh and creative. Okay? So this is the practice. And this is essentially what we're talking about when I say frequently as possible, do even the 1 minute meditation, even just 5 breaths. Yes. Even just the 3 conscious breaths will get you into the body as often as possible. So, last paragraph. Most human relationships consist mainly of minds interacting with each other, not of human beings communicating, being in communion. No relationship can thrive in that way, and that is why there is so much conflict in relationships. When the mind is running your life, conflict, strife, and problems are inevitable. Being in touch with your inner body creates a clear space of no mind within which the relationship being in touch with your inner body creates a clear space of no mind within which the relationship can flower. Okay, my friends. So that was the last one. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that you got something out of that. If you're watching this after the fact, give us plenty of your thoughts in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling about this. And Cowgirl says, yesterday I was working with a retired pond installer, and he is teaching me how to build and restore ponds. Oh, that's cool. He is 76 and works harder than most people in their 20s, feeling very blessed. I love that because those kind of people are very inspirational. Yeah, I know several people like that. But I also know several 35-year-olds that get winded and just are in horrible shape and just have a lack of lust for life. So it all matters your thoughts. Hello, Pop Perm. Good to see you here. Brian Arie says, much to think about this week. As always, much peace to the tribe. Till we meet again, my Viking friends. Yes. Aaron Johnson says, I totally just had an aha moment. Yes, that's what we want. That's what we want. Okay, guys. So, man, thank you for sharing this time with me. Thank you for sharing the space. Give the video a thumbs up. And thank you guys for the contributions and stuff. So we will see you here next week. And next week's topic is going to be fear versus intuition, and how to know, essentially like gut instinct versus fear driven. Oh, I'm afraid. And now, is that my gut? Is that my intuition? No, they're not. They're not the same thing. So one can contain the other, definitely. But fear and intuition are very different. And then how to listen to ourselves, how to understand to flow from the heart energy. This is what next week will be about. And how to get out of the way so that the ultimate source of creation can begin to control your life in the most magnificent way. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Thank you, my friends.